Yes. No, I'm here, Afet. Well, welcome back to the Union Buildings here in Pretoria, and that is where President Jacob Zuma and President Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe are about to address the media following a meeting they have just had, which lasted for a good several hours. And without wasting any more of your time, let's go straight to the briefing where President Jacob Zuma is standing by.
Your Excellencies, President Zuma and President Mugabe, ministers, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, we will now commence with the official proceedings of the signing ceremony between the Republic of South Africa and the Republic of Zimbabwe. Our two principals, our presidents, will witness the signing ceremony of 3 agreements and 2 memoranda of understanding. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to now request Minister Ngwana Mashabane and Minister Mumbengengwe to come and sign the agreement on the establishment of a binational commission. This agreement will be followed by a memorandum of understanding on diplomatic consultation. Ministers, Minister.
What are you saying? iPad. Oh, iPad. Oh, it is block. I see. What you call it? iPad.
Thank you, ministers.
I will proud. You congratulate.
Okay.
Congratulations.
You ever congrats. All right.
Congratulations.
Okay.
I now have the honor to request Minister Mkonyane and Minister Kasukuwere to sign the agreement on cooperation on water resources management and the establishment and functioning of the Joint Water Commission. Ministers. Thank you, ministers.
Congratulations.
Well done. We shall have more water.
Your Excellencies, allow me to request Minister Nene and Minister Chinamasa to sign the agreement on mutual assistance between the Customs Administration. Ministers. Thank you, ministers.
Congratulations.
Okay. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right.
Your Excellencies, members of the media, I now have the honor to request Minister Davis with Minister Bima to sign the Memorandum of Understanding on Economic and Trade Cooperation. Ministers.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Right.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Thank you, ministers. We have now come to the end of the signing ceremony. I would like to thank His Excellency President Zuma and His Excellency President Mugabe for witnessing this ceremony. And I now hand over to Ms. Williams to facilitate the press conference. Over to you, Madam.
His Excellencies, ministers for both countries, we are now going to move to the second part of the ceremony. To the members of the media and to the members of the media in Zimbabwe, we want to say Tinoti Tafara. I hope I got it right.
Yes, very right.
We are now going to firstly call on His Excellency President Zuma to give opening remarks, and he will be followed by His Excellency President Mugabe, and thereafter we will take some questions. And I think I should have said that my name is Pumla Williams. I'm the acting cabinet spokesperson. And thank you, and over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Your Excellency, my dear brother, President Robert Mugabe, honorable ministers and deputy ministers, members of the media. Your Excellency, let me start by once again thanking you for accepting and honoring my invitation to undertake a state visit to South Africa, your second one, to our country since the dawn of our freedom and democracy. The historic fraternal relations between our two countries necessitate that we work closely together for the betterment of the lives of our peoples and also to promote sustainable development in our region and continent. Since the formation of and formalization of relations between South Africa and Zimbabwe in 1994, our two countries have enjoyed cordial bilateral relations under the structured mechanisms of the Joint Commission for Cooperation and Joint Permanent Commission on Defense and Security. These structured mechanisms have facilitated consultations and official engagements between our two countries and provided platforms from which issues of mutual interest could be raised and discussed. Our deliberations of today put great emphasis on the importance of signing the agreement on the establishment of the binational commission, whose objective is to take our relations to a higher level and to be led by the heads of state of our respective countries. We have also just witnessed the signing of other agreements to further enhance our relations. The Memorandum of Understanding on Diplomatic Consultations will establish a mechanism for regular diplomatic consultations on issues of strengthening bilateral relations, security and cooperation in Africa, and on issues of mutual interest. The agreement on cooperation on water resources management and the establishment and functioning of the Joint Water Commission are intended to enhance cooperation in water resources planning, development, and management in the spirit of mutual understanding and benefit. The agreement regarding mutual assistance between customs administrations will enhance cooperation between our customs administrations and a crucial milestone towards the establishment of a one-stop border post. In addition, we have also signed the Memorandum of Understanding on Trade Cooperation. Our ministers will work together to ensure the implementation of these agreements and others signed over the years. South Africa and Zimbabwe not only share strong historical relations, but also strong economic cooperation to the extent that the economies of the two countries are historically and inextricably linked. That linkage is also done by somebody who is being talked about these days in South Africa. We host a statue, they host him in Zimbabwe. Historically, Zimbabwe is always among the top 3 South Africa's trading partners on the continent. South Africa is one of the top investors in the Zimbabwean economy. To take economic relations forward, the South Africa Zimbabwe Business Forum will meet tomorrow. Opportunities for deeper economic cooperation exist in the fields of mining, water, energy, infrastructure development, transport and information communication technologies, among others. His Excellency President Mugabe is also the chairperson of the African Union and SADC. In this regard, we have used the opportunity of our meeting to discuss regional and international issues of mutual concern, including establishing an environment of peace and stability in order to achieve regional integration, industrialization, and economic development, and the well-being of the region and the continent. We are united in our determination to work for peace and stability in every corner of the continent. During our discussions, we expressed our condemnation of the attacks in Kenya, which claimed the lives of more than 140 students. This enjoins Africa to unite more than ever to protect the citizens of our beloved continent from the evils of terrorism. We are also united in the quest for sustainable development in the continent, as expressed in the vision document Agenda 2063. We also deliberated on the global and multilateral matters of interest and concern, especially the need for the reform of the United Nations Security Council, as we head towards the 70th anniversary of the United Nations this year. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to reiterate my pleasure in hosting my esteemed guest, President Robert Mugabe, and his delegation in South Africa on this historic occasion. This state visit will certainly enhance the relations between South Africa and Zimbabwe to a higher level for the benefit of the people of both countries. I thank you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency. And at this point, I will invite His Excellency President Mugabe.
Your Excellency, President Zuma, honorable ministers, ladies and gentlemen, and comrades of the press, I want to express on behalf of my delegation and on my own behalf our appreciation and deep thanks for the invitation extended to us to come to South Africa and join our comrades in discussing how we could improve our relations in socio-economic terms. Look at the various ways of improving our systems on a joint basis economically. The guerrilla wars that we fought together were meant to yield systems of independent governments free from oppression, but equipped now with the means for self-determination, means for self-help, but means of ownership of resources. It is these resources which are now in our hands, in our free and independent environments that need to be transformed, since they are raw resources, transformed from lying either underground or above ground, or we produce them at the primary level, but take them up to the secondary level, transform them by adding value to them. And that is what we call beneficiation of the raw resources at a primary level. But do it in a manner now, integrated manner, that yields greater benefit for us on a joint basis. We of Zimbabwe, being the younger economic partner, and President Zuma and South Africans being the elder brothers with a more advanced system. But nevertheless, we look at our resources and see how joint efforts could bring about on that integrated, in that integrated manner, better, quantitatively more, but qualitatively better products, transformed by adding value to them, making them more expensive than they are at a primary level. This is industrialization. Sure, South Africa is more advanced, but there is still more to do in transforming those resources. And that is why we decided to bring together 10 ministers from President Zuma's side and 10 from President Mugabe's side. And these are not Bafana versus warriors. No. This is a togetherness. So, a togetherness, working together now in this system. We have natural resources in Zimbabwe. Plenty natural resources, but they are raw resources. Diamonds still lie at the ground. We have just discovered them. We are beginning to work on them and just doing the alluvial primary production of them. Alluvial is you just getting the soils, loose soils, and then sieving them and seeing whether there are diamonds there. But it's not what South Africa has done. This alluvial was done long ago by the forerunners, Van Rhodes and others. Yes, Rhodes. Mind you, we in Zimbabwe did not know about Rhodes until South Africa said they had someone called Rhodes in Cape Town, who was Prime Minister of the Cape, and who, in a mischievous way, wanted our country, Zimbabwe, also to come under his control, and but not just his control, but British control. So, well, you may have the statue because that's where he began. But he came to us and wanted to be buried, and we have him down below in Matopas because that's where he wanted to die. But he was a strange man. That South Africa forwarded to us when he was already a corpse. So we are looking after the corpse. You have the statue of him. I don't know what you think we should do. Dig him up? Perhaps his spirit might rise again, and what shall we do? Anyway, I say to my people, let's let him down there. Well, Cecil Rhodes, well, that is history now. But from Cecil Rhodes, from the lot of the others that we have had, Ian Smith, etc. Well, now we have our own people, and we have President Zuma here, we have President Mugabe in Zimbabwe. That's what you fought for. I say you, all of you whose parents were with us, and you who were born of those parents. I hope you are also freedom fighters by birth. And if you are freedom fighters by birth, we hope you support us. We want really to have integrated systems, transformed and made highly developed countries. But systems that are now in your control, in your hands, in the hands of Africans. The African resources belong to Africa. Others may come to assist us as our friends and allies, but no longer as colonizers or oppressors. No longer as racists. Apartheid is gone. I hope you have buried it down like we did Rhodes. So we want to thank South Africa. We have already South African companies, lots of them. I told you we have natural resources that lie down: diamonds, gold, platinum, chrome, copper, iron ore, coal, even asbestos, which they say is not wanted here, but it's doing us no harm at all. We have it in plenty. So, and South Africa has also lots of platinum. Diamonds, yes, have been dug out, and Rhodes and others had their own share. Gold is still there, still mining gold, and several other items. But we also have, from land, agricultural resources and agricultural products. We produce lots of food, fruit, for example, sugar, tea, etc. We produce not as much, but tea, coffee also, but lots of cotton, lots of tobacco. We don't smoke much of it. The Chinese smoke most of it. Well, we produce it. WHO, and we have our Minister of Health here. He advises against smoking, but he doesn't advise against growing. And we say, well, we will grow it for those who would want to smoke it. But the ministers of health and WHO will say, don't over-smoke. You get nicotine into your lungs and so on, and eventually it affects you. We say, well, they should listen to what the doctors say, but we continue to grow. Here it is. Our friends in China smoke as WHO advises you. But if you over smoke, we'll grow more. And don't blame us. And in the name of God, we will say, well, we just gave them, as our neighbors, what they wanted from us. But we didn't force them, oh Lord, to smoke. They are our good friends. They are supporting us. They supported us during the struggle. They will support us even today. We are part of Africa, part of the region we call SADC, Southern Africa. And what we do between us is to the benefit of our SADC and the benefit of Africa, benefit of our people, albeit directly a benefit to the people of Southern Africa. If we fail, we are failing those people. But in our environment, we also want a political environment of freedom. Political environment in which we are not interfered with by outsiders, and we become masters of ourselves in Africa. But we interact also with the rest of the world at the United Nations. And we don't think that what the President was saying this morning. We don't think we are getting a fair deal at the United Nations. No. just the 5 countries there who are permanent members wield the control of the entire system because the Security Council has greater control, greater power than the General Assembly, which we all attend. But we are not all in the Security Council. We can regionally have two members who alternate every 2 or 3 years, and we choose others. But the 5 say they are permanent members, and if one of them says no to any resolution, that resolution doesn't pass. So, United States, France, Britain, China, and Russia and that's why the system isn't functioning. We have tried to formulate amendments to the Charter, especially Security Council, as Africa, but no, America, Britain and France will stand against them. Only China and Russia are forthcoming and support us. But we were just wondering, must we go on and on presenting resolutions that are rejected, and it becomes a circus? Are we that foolish? Aren't we strong enough? And it's not Africa alone. It's the third world, as we call ourselves in the developing world, including Asia, Asian countries, Latin American countries, etc. Can't we bind ourselves together and say, this or you don't have us? That's where we're getting to. And we want a United Nations in which there is participation by everybody and recognition of each country as an equal member. We don't have that kind of body yet. As I say, it's dominated by the 5. And if it's the 5 who are giving us trouble, they disturb the Arab world and leave them torn apart. Look at what they did to Libya. They say they wanted to prevent Gaddafi from killing civilians, but he wasn't killing civilians. They wanted actually to get rid of him. And they went there, had him shot dead. They hunted his family, hunted and hounded it, killed even some members of the family, ensured that he was now no longer there, and they could suck the oil. And so you can see the mess in which Libya is. The president was telling me that it's not just one government there, it's 2. 2 capitals, Benghazi and Tripoli, and each being the center of one of the 2 governments. And this is it, they've done it also in the Middle East, Saddam Hussein. In Iraq, who were killed in the same way, again oil. Bush and his brother had an oil company there. And it is that merciless, reckless, brutal approach of the West. They are the ones who say they gave Christianity to Africa. But look at the just the things that they are doing. We are for peace in Africa. We are for peace in Southern Africa, for peace in every part of Africa, and that's why we will want peaceful elections wherever they are held. We say to South Africa, thanks. We thank you on behalf of SADC, on behalf of the African Union, for having assisted the people of Lesotho to hold this last election in a peaceful way. With now Prime Minister Masisidi in power. We have been assisting also the DRC from the time of Father Kabila. We went there to prevent Rwanda and Burundi, Uganda, seizing the power of the people of the DRC. And we are glad that they are trying now as much as possible to be democratic. But they have difficulty because of the rebels arising from some anti-Rwanda who operate from some operate against the DRC itself and so on. And we are happy that we are represented there by South Africa. South Africa is also using Thabo Mbeki in some cases. In some cases, President Zuma has had to intervene personally. So we want a peaceful Africa for our people peacefully to go about their business. We want to educate our people. There are areas in northern part of Africa where Africans are still illiterate, where they have no schools. And unless there is an environment of peace, it's not possible for development to occur. We say we came, we saw, and we were conquered. It has been a very serious meeting that our people held together. And the cementing of our relations. Never to forget that yesterday we stood together against apartheid, against Ian Smith. Today we continue to stand together. There are problems, naturally, that must be resolved. The people moving without passports into South Africa, for example, jumping our border. They think there is lots of work in Johannesburg and so on. Moving from our territory, from Zimbabwe, from Mozambique, and other territories. We discussed that we must find ways of controlling movement of people which is not sanctioned. Labor people, yes, on an official basis, can have workers, trained workers who are properly employed, fine. Business people moving, fine. We have, as I said, lots of companies. All platinum, I said, is produced by South Africans. Gold was being produced by South Africa. And that's our togetherness. And together we stand, and together we fall. But I don't think we shall fall at all. And the people of South Africa, I want to say thank you for the hospitality that we have had, been looked after very comfortably, and we know that we owe you not just the gesture of forgiveness, which I mean of thankfulness, which we must express, but we owe you that thankfulness for the tolerance there has been on the part of the government here, as our people have really offended your system by jumping the border and disturbing even the social system here. But where they've come as workers, well and good. We say thank you for providing them with that work. We say, however, that these matters must be discussed, and our relations must be strengthened as much as possible, as strongly as ever. And with that, I say to you, journalists, thank you for paying so much attention, those of you who write for those papers we read, for paying so much attention to us and to President Mugabe, and for the publicity you have given me as you focused, those of you who focused on me as a real dictator. Yes, a dictator would have cut the throat of Ian Smith. The first time we got back, but I say no. Let us turn our swords into plowshares and forget about yesterday. We'll work together, and we work together with Ian Smith. We allowed him even to have not only his farm, but his father's farm. But alas, he had, the Lord Almighty called him, and I think he died. He came here, the doctors couldn't help him. He died, and natural death. We had vowed that those who were guilty of apartheid and guilty of bombing our people, killing our people callously, and throwing bodies into disused mines will not get away with it. The moment we get home and we have power, we will cut off their heads. We didn't do that. That is the anger you have when you are waging a struggle. But when now freedom comes, you saw what Madiba did, isn't it? And he is the one who led you into accepting that those who were enemies yesterday, well, let's have them as friends and allies. And you have that a rainbow nation. Where would you send them? The Afrikaners say they came here the moment Van Riebeeck in 1652 set foot at the Cape, and they forgot they had a home in Holland and wanted a home in Africa. Well, if they are well behaved, yes. But if they have apartheid, no. But then we want peace. And peace does not mean you must have a lion's share and others have a baboon's share. No. You are all together and let's be equal. And inequality can breed other problems in the future. We did not send away whites. We took away land in accordance with what the British and ourselves had agreed upon, Margaret Thatcher's government, that there shall be a land reform program and land shall be taken from the farmers and be given to the Zimbabweans. So it was all constitutional. What we didn't want was that Blair should reverse that. That one. President Mugabe said, no, Mr. Blair, you can't do that. So, and we were supported. The South Africans said no. He wanted, when we started taking the land now, he refusing to pay compensation. We told the farmers they get their compensation from the British and the Americans. Americans had promised also to support the British at Lancaster House. So, if Blair said, I am no longer willing to pay for the land, should we have just folded our hands and say, oh, Lord Almighty, I pray in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Goodness me, no. Blair, and who was he? Just a Prime Minister of Britain. I'm President of Zimbabwe. So that's why we say, okay, it's your money, keep it. It's our land, we will take it. Balance, fair. Good show. We are very happy. Let's be supportive of our governments. Let's be supportive of the president. And writes well. He has been tarnished in your press a lot. What for? He is your leader. Please write well about. You can tarnish me. I don't care. But you must have the national spirit, national consciousness. We are South Africans. We can't demolish our president. No, we work together. Some of our own journalists don't understand back home what is national unity. You may differ politically, but when it comes to national positions, you work together. You work together. And if you want us to support you, Bafana Bafana, we will support you. And you become a Bafana Bafana politically. You see? Okay, we thank our ministers for the good work they have done. I'm sure they have laid the basis, a sound basis for greater integration, for greater working together, and for the alliance that we would want to see as we develop our countries. I say thank you for listening to me. I can go on and on until the That's what politicians, the gift of politicians is never to stop speaking until the people say, we are tired. Okay, you are now tired. I say thank you to you.
Thank you very much, His Excellencies. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to entertain a few questions, really. I think the first that I will take is a question directed to His Excellency President Zuma. And I have a question from Ms. Judith Makwanya from the SABC. I don't know whether Judith?
I'm Judith from the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation. Yes, I have a question to both the presidents. Their response will be welcome, both of them. And it is, as countries that are friendly and in the same regional bloc, SADC, countries that share the commitment to mutually beneficial and reciprocal trade relations, to what extent do you believe this interaction, this visit by President Mugabe has gone in promoting that commitment to mutually beneficial and reciprocal trade relations between these two countries, given the current scenario where trade between the two countries is much in favor of South Africa? It's so skewed and in favor of South Africa. How much do you think this interaction has gone in resolving that state of affairs?
Thank you, Judith. I think we'll give His Excellency to respond. And if you allow me, His Excellency President Mugabe, we will take a question afterwards, and then you can just couple the two of them and respond to both of. But for now, we will allow His Excellency President Zuma to respond.
Sure. Well, thank you very much. Well, the very fact that we have the state visit and we have discussed the issue of our relations, which include, among others, the trade and how the trade balance is, I think that indicates our commitment to help the two countries develop their own economic development that must make both countries benefit. That is the reason why we have elevated the commission. We now have a binational commission that must report to the president on a yearly basis, partly to address those issues, whether there are hitches or some weaknesses or shortcomings, so that those should be focused on and be corrected. Our desire, all of us, both countries, is that we should have the economy as well as trade that favors both countries. That is what we are looking for. That's what we are going to be working for as we implement the agreements that we have just undertaken. So that is the objective. Thank you.
May I
Thank you.
add?
I was going to take one question to you and
No,
okay.
The same
All right.
one.
All right.
May I assist also the President? South Africa is more highly developed than Zimbabwe. South Africa is a far larger economy than Zimbabwe. Even the population, look at it, we are only 14 million. Yes, we have all those natural resources, but they are yet undeveloped. So the balance of trade could never be in favor of Zimbabwe in the circumstances. We shall always have a deficit on our side because it's a smaller. Ours is a smaller. All we are saying is that let us have fair trade where Zimbabwe produces products to export to South Africa. There should be a readiness to accept that. We are the largest, Zimbabwe, the largest trading partner of South Africa in Africa because we have resources more than other African states. We are the number one trading partner of South Africa in Africa. So, but where we feel perhaps at the customs level, some of our products are not accepted or they are prevented. That's what our Minister of Industry and Trade was discussing with Minister Davies. So yes, that is the issue we want to say. You can narrow the deficit, but there is no way you could ever be equal to South Africa. It's not possible. Not possible unless South Africa has exhausted all its resources, which is not possible. You see, so that should not really worry us. It doesn't worry us. What worries us is just the inhibitions that may be to our own products coming into South Africa.
Thank you very much, His Excellency. I'll take just one because in the interest of time, I've got Ms. Karin Duplessis, and that would be the only question. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we press for time. I will allow, yes.
Thanks. I have a question for President Mugabe. President, after your party's conference in December last year, there was a Zim asset program to improve the economy of Zimbabwe. I just want to know what progress has been made, and I also want to know your indigenization policy is an issue for our companies and for foreign companies wanting to invest there. Has that been an obstacle, and what were the discussions around it?
Well, Zim asset, that's really the core of Zim asset is the beneficiation we have been talking about. That to have sustainable development. That sustainable development must be transformation of, say, a product from primary level to a secondary level where there is value added to it. And when there is value added to it, it's now of greater value. It fetches more on the market. Yes, we have been working on this, but it is a process. We are moving on. We are only about a year since we enunciated that. You made reference to indigenization and empowerment. I made reference earlier on to the fact that in Africa, our natural resources belong to us. We are owners of those resources. I don't believe I've done economics, but I don't believe that capital is of greater value than the natural resources I have. No. So when a company comes and says it has capital to invest. It's bringing equipment. Capital transforms into equipment and other techniques that are used for productive purposes. It's nothing more than that. But what does it do? The capital that is aimed at mining, for example, is drawing from my country a resource that cannot be replaced tomorrow. You're leaving holes in my country. And you want to say the capital is more valuable. Your machines are more valuable than the gold they are taking. I say that's bad economics if we were taught our children that. The gold that I have, God-given gold, is much more beneficial and important to my country. And what does capital do? It leaves us with gaping earth to fill in. No. What we say, therefore, is we who are owners of natural resources must at least have 51% of the earnings of that company, and then we allow the company 49%. Where is natural resources? If the resources are brought from outside, you bring your gadgets, or you want to manufacture gadgets which we didn't have before. Well, that's not covered in our 51, 49%. That's negotiated now. But where is our natural resources? No. We must at least have 51% of ownership of the company and ownership of the resources, which is quite generous, mind you, because it's 49%. You take 49% every year and so on of say 500 million or a billion. If you get 49% of that, it's a huge amount. So that is the policy we have adopted. Now, indigenization, of course, means we must have our own people. But of course, when we talk about 51% to 49%, we are thinking of companies that come from outside. If it's our own people that participate in mining or engage in mining, well, that doesn't apply. They have the entirety of the equity. But also with our friends on a joint basis, provided it's on a reciprocal basis, 50-50, we can have that kind of arrangement. And we could have that kind of arrangement on both sides, a company that operates on both sides, or that principle applying on a regional basis to each other. That's all right. We can negotiate that 50-50. If we establish a company here, we get 50%. You establish a company in our country, 50%. At the moment, we have lots of companies that don't have any partner in Zimbabwe, doing platinum, doing gold, mining gold, etc. You see. So that is the explanation I can give.
Thank you very much, His Excellencies. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the media briefing. At this point, I will allow His Excellencies to take leave. And thank you very much once again.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Nambanka Khle, Bambai Zwakanaka. Thank you.
Well, President Robert Mugabe and President Jacob Zuma addressing the media following the signing of a number of agreements. We are going to try and get some of the ministers from both countries to expand on the agreements that were signed. But for now, I'm going to hand back to studio in Johannesburg.